Welcome back, High School Tech. We are going to continue talking about HUDs, and now that we have the player object, we can effect a change on that player, right? So the last lesson I showed you how to get the player object, and now we're going to be talking about how to change certain things about that player. Now, you can change a lot of things, and so that is a very useful lesson. But today we're gonna get specific about how to change the actual HUD. Let's get started. Okay, so if you're curious, like what a HUD was, basically it's the layer in between the viewer and the background or the world. So you can turn it on and off with F1, I believe. That'll hide or show the HUD. So that's kind of nice, especially when you're debugging and you've done something wrong and you just don't know where in the world you are. You can still press F1. So just also bear that in mind whenever you're making these changes to the player, that they could figure that out. Just press F1 to get rid of the overlay. Okay, but without further ado, let's get right into it. So we have inside of this callback, we have the player object, and it's in the form of puncher. It comes in different name. It has different names. Sometimes it's player. Sometimes it is looker or puncher. So just know that it is the player object, and we verified that by puncher : get underscore player underscore name. Now, something that I think is very useful and you should probably be aware of is setting some having a global variable, and that is done at the very beginning of your script. And so I just jumped to the very top and I initialized this global variable. Now, inside of this global, we can tuck a bunch of information, okay? So point being, you want this text at the beginning of your mod. And I gave it the name my mod because it's the name of my mod, which you could name whatever you want. You could maybe say global my mod. I don't know, whatever you want, but you need that for this next step. Okay, so just follow along for now, and I'll go back and explain what in the world's going on. So we're going to write my mod, and this is a callback. This is calling that global. And then inside of this, we're going to write HE underscore text. And then we're going to set that equal. So now all that I've done so far is I've created a variable. So it's just a box that we can stick on the shelf and reference later on. And the name of it is HE underscore text. And so now with that, what we're going to say is puncher : set HUD. And in here we have a lot of different options. So it can be interesting just to kind of cycle through those and see what you could find. Hopefully yours actually comes up with these. So but what we're going to do is we're just going to use HUD underscore add, and it fills in this information, gives you parentheses. It's really nice. HUD underscore add is a function, and so it accepts a bunch of different inputs. But specifically, you should know that the inputs need to be in the form of a table. Okay, don't miss this. That these, and as in the case of the majority of what we do in Minetest, it needs to be in table form, which means every item inside that table needs to be separated by you guessed it, a comma. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to get rid of that placeholder text and then bump down a line here. Now, we got to fill this full of information, and it's hard to remember what all the information is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the resources that I pulled from. So as you can see there, that is some information that you could use. But before we get into that, let's actually look at this, the textbook. Now, this is in the HUD chapter down at this section, our example. We are just going to grab this this text right here, copy it, and then head back over to VS Code and then paste it in here. Now get ready, because it's going to get all messy. You see here, this text is all off and it's not right. It's not, the alignment's not correct. And I just did something. No, I didn't. Okay. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift Tab. That's going to bring everything to the left. It's going to kind of get everything lined up nicely. And then I'm going to select it again and tab it over. So that's how you can move big chunks and make things, keep things looking nice. All right. So here we have some text. So let's change this text to something we just generic, hello world. Save that. And now if we run it, let's see what happens. Okay. So we're going to hit this, and sure enough, over there, if you see on my screen, it says hello world. That wasn't there before, and now it is. Now, something to remember to note is that hello world does not go away. You've just added a HUD element or a HUD something, and so it won't go away. No matter how long no matter how long you're here, it just won't. So let's work on that. Exit here. I'm sorry. What I mean is, okay, so the element is there, it's stuck, which is fine. But how do we know where it is and like the location of it? How do we control that? Well, you've got a bunch of variables here that all affect the positioning of it. Obviously, position is going to be kind of where it is on the screen, and then from that position you can do an offset. So these are all very useful definitions for this table, but we are not going to get into all the details of it. If you want to know what each one does specifically, you can go to the Lua API, and there are two spots that you can look. First of all, the definitions table gives you a very definition tables, HUD definition section of the Lua API. Gives you a general overview of each of these items. And then if you scroll up, they actually dedicated a whole chapter right here called HUD elements, and it goes into a lot more detail. So you can just get lost in the Lua API. But for simplicity, what we're going to do is we're just going to, change some of the numbers. So what I want you to do at this point is mess with some of the numbers, start with position, because that's fairly self-explanatory, and just see how it works. Why are these numbers so small, and things like that. So kind of play with those numbers, see what happens. If the text completely disappears, then you just reset it back to your numbers. So be careful as you're changing these. Be careful that you don't make that you remember what you had before. Okay, so you should have kind of messed with the positioning, right? All right, so that's text. Then we want more than that. Something you should know, though, is that all we did there was we added a single line of text, just a single string. That text could be longer, it could be shorter, but that's it. So what if we wanted to add an image? That's what we all want to do, right? Well, so first of all, you got to think about what image you want. Secondly, you probably need to find out what images are, or what it happens when you add an image. So I'll try to explain some of that stuff real quick. I'm not going to get into how to actually create the image. That you can do yourself. But what you'll probably want is an image that matches the resolution of the screens that you'll be using. In my case, I just made this one, and I'm not going to get into too much detail, but if you click New, you can specify the size and all that stuff with pixels. And then I just created an image, and you'll notice here that this green area is actually transparent. So it allows the user to see through. And so the transparencies of your images are very important, and how transparent they are and all that stuff. So, but most importantly, once you've created an image, you're going to need to save it. And just as a refresher, you're going to click Save As. And then instead of saving it in the default Pictures folder, go up to your home directory and then click on the Pictures folder. In here, I created a folder called My Mod specifically for all the ones that I'm writing for my mod. And then you can export the image to that folder. Be sure to click through all of the prompts so that you do indeed save the folder or save the image. And now we have over here an image, but we cannot use it in our mod because it's not in the right folder. So I have two windows open up here, one with my pictures directory and the second one with my mod textures folder open. So I've navigated from the home directory into Minetest, mods, my mod, textures, and I'm going to drag and drop. Of course, I've already done that, so it's right there. All right, so we've got a picture. That's great. Now what we need to do is actually add this picture to the HUD. So this is a fine place to do it, right? So once they punch the node, it'll add this picture overlay. All right, so you might think, well, let's add it to this HUD, but that's not the case. Each of these calls, every time you say add HUD underscore add, it's just adding an element, which is why I'm using this convention HE underscore text, because it stands for HUD element, and then it gives a descriptor called text. And we will need that later on some other lesson. Okay, but I am out of time. I don't want to push it any further than that. So today all we did was we covered how to add a HUD element, just text, how to move that element, how that text around, and then also just kind of the basics of creating an image. So in next lesson, I'm going to show you how to actually add that image. And of course, if you want to poke around in the Lua API and the Woodenwardy textbook, and you'll probably see how to do that yourself. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you on the next one.